Hey, is anybody here?
Who's this?
That's Tim.
Well, I don't know. That's what I'm trying to find out.
Huh.
Hey, Bob, I'm here. You hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I can hear you.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not sure if Don's here yet or not.
This is Carl. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, Carl, I can hear you.
Okay, very good.
Hey, Terry?
Yes.
Yeah, for some reason Don couldn't get in because he was having some troubles. You want to go ahead and do this today? Just in case he doesn't get in?
You mean just the intro?
Well, yeah, I mean, if he doesn't come in on the line, just go ahead and do the intro or whatnot, and we'll just go from there.
Okay, that's fine. So you was able to get that info from him through Skype?
Oh, Don Hill here. Can you hear me?
Hey, Don. We can hear you.
Okay, finally, that Skype did the weird thing on me again. So I was there a second ago, but nobody could hear me.
Well, Bob, I guess that answers my question.
All right, Don's in.
Major score. So here we have Carl and Terry and Bob on the line so far.
Yeah.
Yep.
Looking forward to hearing what Carl has to say. Good afternoon and welcome to the My Networking Pro business training call. Please state your name and where you're calling from.
Oh, good afternoon, Don. This is Hortense from Canada. How are you?
Oh, hi, Hortense. It's good to hear your voice. Doing just wonderfully. I hope you're doing the same.
Wonderful, thank you.
Glad to hear you on the call. Looking forward to some really great information today.
Yes, I am happy I'm able to be here today.
Wonderful. I still got a couple of minutes. If you haven't introduced yourself and snuck in while we were talking, please don't be shy. Introduce yourself and where you're calling from. Looks like we're up to date.
Maybe everybody flew away today.
Yeah, it's well, kind of an extended last weekend of summer for a lot of folks, I have a feeling.
It's a beautiful weekend indeed. This is probably one of the coolest weekends we've had in a long time. So I'm just glad to be cooled down a little bit.
Well, now, you guys are about due there. You really had a scorching summer over there in the Midwest.
Yeah, they're considering us extremely dry is what they're saying. And we've had, I think so far I've watched television, 3 different sets of fires that's lost lots and lots of acres. So, yeah, we're definitely in need of some cool weather and maybe some rain a little bit. So.
Yeah, I know those prairie fires are legend. Once they get going and a good wind comes up, look out, Nellie. Get out of the way.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, exactly. Well, we might even have some callers on the line, too, kind of like Wednesdays. And I'm not sure, I haven't talked to a lot of people, as far as the calling in, but we may have some on the line that you may have just muted themselves as well, too. It's hard telling.
Could very well be. I know that some folks like to three-way their people in with Skype. If you opt for their paid telephone version, you're able to do that. It's kind of cool. I enjoy using Skype for that purpose. It's only like I think $3 every 4 months or something like that. It's a really cheap option, and that way you've got a long-distance phone number anywhere to the U.S. and Canada. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's what I use. It's great for that.
Okay, we're about a minute past the top of the hour, so we may as well get things underway. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Don Hill, and I'd like to welcome you to the My Networking Pro business overview, or not the overview, the business training call. Got my days mixed up there. Just goes to show you don't have to be polished and professional to succeed at this business. We have some fantastic speakers on the line for you today to tell you about different methodologies and little tips and tricks that you can use to build your My Networking Pro business, and in a lot of cases to build practically any business under the sun. And so the first person I'd like to introduce on the call today is my good friend Bob Judd, hailing from Kearney, Nebraska. He's a devoted family man, definitely sick to death of his job, and looking forward to the day when he can tell the boss where to put it, and it's not going to be in his pay envelope because it won't be coming in his direction anymore. He won't need it. And so without further ado, I'd like to introduce everyone to Bob Judd. Take it away, Bob.
Thanks a lot, Don. I definitely appreciate that. I love working with everybody here at My Networking Pro. There's so many things you can learn. And I've got a gentleman that I spoke with, a couple different times that's going to be on the call today. And I want to kind of introduce him. His name's Carl Willis. He's the creator of Create Your Blog Now, and he's the author of Troubles of a Righteous Man and Lessons from the Storm. He grew up in Wichita, Kansas, and always had a love for the entrepreneurship. After high school, he married his sweetheart and began a career in law enforcement, working as a police officer in Fort Worth, Texas, and Dodge City, Kansas. During those years, he tinkered with several businesses on the site, including a police equipment supply dealership, a professional recruiting service, and a computer repair service. He left law enforcement in the mid-'90s and went into banking and investments. During that time, he also entered the ministry and began leading local churches. Eventually, he ended up opening his own financial advisory firm and used that to support his ministry work. In 2008, he started Simplicity Church Network, a ministry that plants churches and Bible colleges around the world. His ministry was designed to be funded by commerce and network marketing. That was his vehicle of choice. However, the reality of the financial advisory profession made it unstable a mechanism, so he went in search for a solution. The solution led him to do something that he swore he'd never be a part of, and that was network marketing. And today he uses network marketing to fund his ministry, but also give income opportunities to people who are rebuilding their lives. He's a very great guy to talk to. And with that being said, I would definitely love to turn the call over to Carl Willis.
All right. Thank you, Bob. Let me make sure you can hear me. My Skype was freaking out on me here just a minute ago.
Yes, I can hear you just fine, Carl.
Okay, fantastic. Well, I want to thank you for that introduction, and it's very accurate. Just to kind of give you a little background, I'm now in my early 40s, and when I was first married, my wife and I have been married almost 24 years. I was approached with network marketing, and I was turned off by the presentation and swore I'd never do it. And interesting, the journeys we go through in life and the things that force us to reevaluate decisions sometimes. And so in 2008, I came to that point of needing to reevaluate my stance. And as I began a church planting ministry, I was faced with the quandary of how to support myself. My ministry takes me around the world, and so I needed something that was flexible, something that could be reproduced, and something that I could work from the U.S. or India or Africa or wherever I might be at any given moment. And so it was time to take yet another look at network marketing, and since then have fallen in love with it. So where I'm going to talk from today is more of a broad business concept, but it's something that I see very specifically in network marketing, and quite honestly, I see it very specifically in My Networking Pro. My Networking Pro is a phenomenal vehicle for any network marketer, any home-based business owner to build a business. But one of the things about doing that is you've got to learn how to market in a manner that draws people to you. And so I want to give you an example. And if you're in front of a computer, I actually want you to sign on to the My Networking Pro site for me. And I want you just to look through the news feed. I just want you to kind of scan through and see what's there in front of you. And one of the things I want you to take note of is those pieces that show up on the news feed that get the most attention. And so in my time with My Networking Pro, one of the things that I find consistently is that when Bill Weber speaks on the news feed, he gets a lot of feedback. And I want you to compare the types of things that Bill says on that news feed. And for those of you that may not be familiar with his user ID, it's Megalodon. And I want you to compare that to some of the other news feed items that you see that don't get as much interaction. And then I'm going to preface for you some reasons behind that and some thought processes that I want you to engage with in your business. And so to do that, I'm going to tell you a little story from my past. Back in the year 2001, I was a financial advisor. I worked for a bank and also was in the ministry. And a friend of mine approached me about opening my own financial advisory firm. And so I kind of hem-hawed around with that for a little while. I was a little hesitant, at least in the bank. I had, ready-made prospects for me. But the more I worked the numbers, I realized that even if I didn't change my production, I was going to change my income about 70% higher simply by making that adjustment. And so I decided to open up an independent financial advisory firm on the town square of a city called Great Bend, Kansas. It's in central Kansas. Now, what was unique about setting up shop there is directly across the square from me was an Edward Jones financial advisor who had been in business for about 25 years and seemed to manage everybody's money in Great Bend, Kansas. And so here I am directly across the town square from the biggest competition in town. And faced with the challenge, I've opened my business. So what do I have to do to establish my presence in this marketplace when I'm competing against a guy who's been here 25 years, manages some of the wealthiest clients in town, is known by everybody? What do I have to do to make a business here? Now, bear in mind, one of the challenges I have is he and I sell the same things. He can do stock trades, I can do stock trades. He can do bond trades, I can do bond trades. He can sell options, I can sell options. He can sell mutual funds, I can sell mutual funds. So at the end of the day, products are the same. At the end of the day, the services are the same. So the only way I can be competitive is that I have to differentiate myself from him. Now, one of the things that happened in 2001, as you'll remember, of course, is September 11th. And as you might recall, the stock market was shut down for about a week after September 11th. And so the marketplace was in turmoil. And I began to realize that one of the things that gave me an advantage against my competitor is he was really failing to work with the bottom end of his clientele. He had many multimillionaires in his client base, but he had a lot of people who had hundreds of thousands of dollars that never even heard from him because he was too busy with his top dollar clients. And so that's where I found my opportunity. I took out an ad in the newspaper that simply said, "Are you suffering from broker neglect?" And over the next few months, I built a substantial business meeting the needs of people who were being ignored by their financial advisor. And it wasn't just him, it was others who I was able to gain clients from. So I tell you that story for a reason, and I want you to think about your particular business, whether it's My Networking Pro or whether it's a whole nother business in itself. In that business, there are literally thousands, if not tens of thousands, and in some cases, millions of other distributors and affiliates who are selling the exact same product and service that you are. So the question becomes, what is it that makes you different from the competition? What is it that sets you apart from everyone else that is selling what it is that you sell? So back to the My Networking Pro news feed. I want you to scan through that. And some of the things you'll see, and I hope I don't step on toes, my intent is to get you to think beyond where you may be if I'm describing you. There are some people who get on there and all they post is, you got to see this great compensation plan. Best product in the world, get in now, act fast. It's better than sliced bread. The world's never seen anything like it. This is where the money's at. Don't get left behind, blah, 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 blah. And yet nobody really responds to it. You know, some people will give a thumbs up just to be nice. And because we are a networking community, we want to encourage other people. But the challenge that we get is those things don't really draw focus to us. They don't really draw people to us. Because the truth is, what happens is when somebody sees that kind of post, the natural inclination is they go out to Google and they're going to Google search whatever it is that just got posted. And so your chance of getting that sale is a little bit slim. And the reason behind that being, it takes the average person about 7 exposures to a marketing message before they're ready to really make a buying decision of any kind. So if all we're doing is putting our comp plan or our product out there front and center, we're going to lose a lot of sales that way. And this is kind of where I built my business, to give you an insight into how I do my network marketing. I use the internet and I leverage it, and my area of specialization is search engine optimization. So I just love it when people post things like that, because it sends somebody to Google who goes looking for what is it. And I try to be the guy that owns number 1, 2, or 3 on Google for whatever it is they're searching for. And so what I'm doing because of that is I'm taking sales that somebody else could have if they were just to simply market a little bit differently. If they were to really think of their business from the customer's perspective, from the prospective team members' perspective. So this is what I want to get into with you today, is the way you're branding yourself in the marketplace. Because at the end of the day, you are the primary product. You are the thing that ultimately matters the most. And the reason for that is people do business with those they know, like, and trust. And if I could ask somebody on the moderator line, are you able to still hear me? Because my Skype is going haywire.
Yes, Carl. Still able to hear you.
Very good. I just wanted to make sure. People do business with those that they know, like, and trust. So let me give you an example of this. I want you to think for a minute about who your electrician is. Who's your dentist? Who's your doctor? Who's your plumber? And the reason I ask you those questions is more than likely you can name somebody's name. My doctor is Dr. Jones. My dentist is Dr. Smith. Ted is my plumber. Jeff is my electrician. And if I were to ask you, well, why did you choose to do business with those individuals? You might give me some answers like this. My dentist has great chairside manner. I've never experienced any pain when he's had to do dental work. His fees are reasonable. there are not long waits in his waiting room. I ask about your doctor, you may tell me similar things. When I meet with my doctor, he takes the time to explain different things to me. I don't leave feeling like I've been talked down to. If I were to talk about your plumber or your electrician, it would be that they're timely, they don't overcharge, they've always responded when I need them, they don't leave a mess when they're done. And so what it comes down to, if we really think about why we did business with any of those people, it's because of the value that they add. It's not just that they sell a service, because there's plenty of doctors you could choose from, and there's plenty of dentists, and there's probably plenty of plumbers and electricians you could choose from. But the reason we choose them is because, A, perhaps somebody made a recommendation for them. And the recommendation was based on value. And then in your interaction with them, you've received tremendous value from the service that they offer. So they've not just treated you as a number or as a sale, but they've made you feel important when you do business with them. So now we're going to turn this into network marketing. People are looking for those that they know, like, and trust. So at the end of the day, there are thousands of us that promote the same things. When we take My Networking Pro, all of us are looking to bring in new customers and new team members. So if a person has decided, I really like this My Networking Pro thing, who do I join with? This is where your ability to set yourself apart becomes so important. So again, there are two types of marketers. There are those who just come out and all they're going to put out is the My Networking Pro compensation plan and all the features, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But at the end of the day, the guy who's probably going to sign up more people is the person that takes the time to put together a video that teaches people how to use My Networking Pro as a social networking tool. It's going to be the person that actually teaches how to start conversations with the people you meet on My Networking Pro. It's going to be the person who can explain how you can use My Networking Pro to leverage another network marketing business. And I want you to really think about these thoughts. The reason that becomes so valuable, the reason at the end of the day that person is more than likely going to do more business, is they have brought tremendous value to the marketplace. So today I was helping a friend of mine fix up his rental house. A group of guys from our church got together, and so we decided we would help with a project. And so my son and I were painting a bedroom, and that was one of the things we decided to do. And so on the way home, I was talking about this call and what I was considering talking about. And so I was explaining to him, if I wanted to sell paintbrushes, could I sell more paintbrushes by saying, hey, I have paintbrushes for sale, or my paintbrushes are cheaper than anybody else's paintbrushes, or my paintbrushes hold more paint than anybody else's paintbrushes, or could I sell more paintbrushes by teaching people how to paint, by teaching people how to do trim work, by teaching people how to repair holes in plaster and then paint over them, by teaching people how to match colors, by teaching people how to paint a room quicker, by teaching people how to paint textured ceilings. At the end of the day, the guy that teaches those things will sell more paintbrushes. Think about Lowe's and Home Depot. One of the things that they do is they put on clinics that teach you how to do how-to projects. Well, they just don't do that because they like to teach you stuff. They do that because as they're teaching you how to do things, they're going to point to the different tools that you can use. So if I'm teaching you how to paint, I'm going to say, now I'm going to use this type of brush. You can find this over in aisle 6. And I'm going to use a textured roller. You'll find it 2 shelves down from the paintbrush. And I'm going to use Valspar paint, and it's going to be a latex flat. What do you think I'm going to sell a lot of that day? Textured rollers, paintbrushes, and Valspar paint. Because not only am I giving value, but who's going to show up to that class? people who want to paint something. Well, guess who buys paintbrushes? Those same people. So the same applies to your business. So let me break this down for you. First, I'm going to focus on external business, and then I'm going to bring this back to My Networking Pro. So let's say your business is vitamins, and you're out here, you've got the best vitamins in the world, you're convinced, you've been taking them for years, you've never felt better, and yet every time you talk to people about vitamins, nobody seems to care. But then you take a different approach. And what you begin to put out into the marketplace is you do a study on the dangers of vitamin deficiency. And you put that out there for people to read. And then you come along and you put out another piece of content that talks about what are the most important vitamins that you need to have on a daily basis and why. And then you come out and you put out yet another piece of content on the advantages of natural versus synthetic vitamins. And then you come along and you put out yet another piece of content on different studies that have been done showing the impact of regular vitamin usage over an extended period of time. But what you do at the end of every one of those pieces of content is you've got a little signature on it that says something along these lines: discover the best now natural vitamins in the marketplace today, recommended by whoever recommends your product. And you just leave it as a signature. Because you've given value in your content, you're going to end up selling a lot of vitamins. And the beauty of it is you'll never really have to discuss product or service. Your knowledge, your expertise in the industry is what's going to sell. You knowing your craft better than any other competitor and any other fellow distributor in your company is going to set you apart. People will simply do business with you because you are the most knowledgeable person in what you do. You are the expert in the eyes of the people around you. And because of that, you're going to have additional opportunities to promote the things you want to promote in the marketplace. Okay? So now let's move that into My Networking Pro, and let's get very specific with My Networking Pro. We all have My Networking Pro to offer. So I want you to think about the ways in which you are offering My Networking Pro to people. Maybe you're using banner ads. Maybe you're making phone calls. The way I was introduced to My Networking Pro is great, and this is why I have such great respect for Bill. Bill actually got on my email list, and he used one of the tactics that he teaches you. He actually emailed me, and we had a discussion back and forth, and he just simply introduced me, hey, would you take a look at the site? And he developed that relationship with me before he ever tried to hit me with business. And it was a beautiful approach, and it works so well because there's value to it. There's a degree of familiarity and that trust. So when he said take a look at it, I was willing to take a look at it. Now, see, one of the things I do with My Networking Pro is when I sit down with team members and they ask, well, you know, what can I do to build my business? I always talk to them about choosing where you go fishing. Now, I just moved from Corpus Christi, Texas, back to Wichita, Kansas at the beginning of the summer. And I'm an avid fisherman, and I fell in love with saltwater fishing. But there's one thing I absolutely 100% know for sure is that I can fish all day long until I am worn out, and I am not going to catch a shark at Cheney Lake. Absolutely, not going to happen. They're not in the pool. Doesn't matter what bait I try, doesn't matter what tactic I use, they're simply not there. Well, this is one of the things that I describe to my teammates when I bring them in. I said, let me ask you a question. If you're going to deal with a pool of prospects, would you rather deal with people who are already convinced that a home-based business is the greatest thing in the world? Or would you rather deal with people all day long who start off with, is this a scam? Is this one of those pyramid things? it's so much easier to work in an environment that is already warm to what you do. So if you're building an additional business outside of My Networking Pro, you absolutely 100% need to realize the gold mine you have in your hands. Because one of the things we know about our industry is people are perpetually in motion. Some studies say the average tenure of a network marketer is something along the lines of 60 to 90 days in their company, which means if that's the truth, they're going to move companies a couple of times during the year. So part of the challenge for you, part of being a savvy marketer, is putting yourself in the midst of that conversation. So even in the My Networking Pro community, I know today that the person promoting the vitamin deal may be promoting vacations 3 months from now. And 3 months after that, they may be promoting skincare. And 3 months after that, they may be promoting a diet thing. And so there is opportunity for me to engage in that conversation. Secondarily, though, is I have a tool that I can make money off of even if that person never joins my primary business. Okay? So let me explain to you how this works. This is one of the backbone strategies of my business. The reality is about 90% of the people that I talk to about my primary business, it's either not the right time, it's not the right thing, or they're just not the right person. So if all I was promoting is that one thing, I would be leaving 90% of the potential earnings on the table because my primary business didn't fit. Well, what I learned to do early on, and I'm so thankful for those that showed me how to do this, is I learned how to pick up tools and services that every network marketer needs, and how to use those tools and services to monetize that 90% of my business. And for those of you out there, this is what My Networking Pro is all about. This is probably one of the greatest tools you have for that purpose. So you meet a prospect, and it's just not the right time. They're not the right person for your thing. They're all excited about whatever it is they're doing. But the one thing they need in their business is they need exposure. They need prospects. They need a place to put their message out. And you have a ready-made solution for that. And you've got the greatest elevator pitch in the whole wide world. Hey, if you're going to look for prospects for your network marketing business, would you rather do that on Facebook with everybody and their dog who may or may not be interested, or would you rather do your prospecting in a community of home business owners who are already warm to what you do? I mean, that's just a no-brainer elevator pitch right there. And when you help people see the reality of it, hey, you've got a platform to expose yourself and your business to a plethora of home-based business owners who are very warm to network marketing, affiliate marketing, and home-based business. This is a no-brainer. You need to put yourself there. You need to make yourself visible there. You need to let people see what you're all about. And so you've got a beautiful opportunity to do that. But then when you realize that there's also a pay plan attached to it, and that you could be making additional income from My Networking Pro, it may even become your main thing. But if you're not using it that way, you're missing out. So I need to say something to you. If you're on the line and you're kind of dipping your toe in the water, quit and go ahead and move into the business side of it and use this as a cash flow mechanism for your business. Quit him-hawing around with it and get really serious about how you use it, because you're missing a great opportunity to generate some additional income for yourself. You're missing a great opportunity to build leverage. Now, here's what I want you to understand with whatever your primary business may be. You've just built incredible value for that team member when you say, hey, I want to introduce you to a community of home-based business owners where I've been promoting myself for the last year and a half, 2 years, and have had tremendous response. If you're going to be on the team, you need to plug yourself in there. Well, now you've just cemented that team member with yet another relationship. And one of the things that I learned in the financial business was the more relationships I can have with an individual, the more their loyalty increases. So as a banker, if all I had was your checking account, the first time you bounced a check, you were probably going to leave after we charged you fees. But if I also had your mortgage, your car payment, and your investment account, you weren't going anywhere. You had that relationship developed. Well, the same is true with your team. If you can plug them into the systems that you're using, not only can you make that relationship more profitable, but the loyalty goes through the roof exponentially. And so those are the types of things that I really want you to consider with My Networking Pro. So going back to you and how you're using it, if all you're putting out there is opportunity and compensation plan, pay attention to that news feed. Notice the fact that Bill gets on and he puts out about 2 paragraphs of wisdom, and that thing circulates for the next 6 months, and it's got more shares and more comments on it than anything else on the news feed. That should tell you something about building your business online. People aren't interested in your product because they can buy your product from thousands of other places. What they're interested in is, are you the type of leader that can help them be successful with that product? And so what I want to encourage you is promote yourself first. Promote you more than anything. Refer people back to your profile. In my case, everything I do refers you to one of my blogs because I want to be front and center in front of you in everything that I do. I want to become so much embedded in your mind that you just can't help but to run into me all the time. Because by doing that, I am positioning myself so when that day comes and you're in motion, the hope is that I'm going to be one of those people you think about when you're considering what your options are. Now, you may be in something that you love and you've been there for years and you're not going anywhere, and that's great. But you know what? You still need to be doing the same things. You need to be branding yourself as the leader that you are so that other leaders are drawn to you. Because remember, leaders are out there shopping for other leaders, and they're not going to respond because you put out some information on a pay plan and the hottest, latest, greatest product. What they're looking for is leadership. That guy that's thinking about bringing his team of 1,000 people over, he's going to look very carefully at where he moves that team to before he does it. And, you know, we've had a very large company go down here in the last few weeks. There are a lot of teams in motion. I'm getting a lot of phone calls these days of people who are out shopping for sponsors. So here's where we really have to get serious. If you're going to make a serious income out of this, if it's going to become something substantial, you've got to become the leader that other leaders are looking for. So I think I've taken up all my time, and that's where I'm going to leave you today is that thought of value. What is it that sets you apart from everyone else? In a field of brown cows, what makes you stand out?
Thanks a lot, Carl. I definitely appreciate that. And guys, this is one guy you definitely want to connect with because I've definitely watched him on My Networking Pro on several blogs he's done, went and checked out his blogs, and he's got some pretty awesome stuff out there. So if you guys want to connect with Carl, definitely do so because he's on My Networking Pro feed quite a bit. And Don, with that being said, go ahead.
Outstanding. Wonderful information there, Carl. You hit everything right on the head there. It's totally in alignment with everything that I've learned over my nearly decade of being online. Spot on. And can't wait to hear more from you in the future because I know that you're just scratching the surface there. There's a lot along those lines that you can cover, and you did a fantastic job of doing that today. And for everybody listening in, if you want to get in touch with Carl, as Bob said, he does frequent the news feed at My Networking Pro quite regularly. And his username, as you might expect, is Carl Willis. The spelling is a bit unique. It's capital C-A-R-L _ capital W-I-L-L-I-S. And, of course, Bob Judd, our primary speaker, his username is BJUDD. Other leaders that you might want to get in touch with, of course, there's our network advisor mentioned by nearly everybody that has anything to say about My Networking Pro, and that's Bill Weber, and his username is Megalodon, and I'll spell that capital Megladon. Sounds like a dinosaur, and some people accuse Bill of being one, but he's my kind of dinosaur. Another leader that we regularly hear from is Terry Walker, and his username is Rich2Kid, and I'll spell that out, RICH2KID. Another regular that is normally on our calls but has been called away for a while, but we always like to let her know she's appreciated, and that's Christine Pulla in Ontario, Canada, and her username is CPULLA. Another leader still is Vinny Billups. If you ever heard Vinny speak, you know that he's fired up about My Networking Pro. It's the only thing he does, hailing from the great state of Florida, and his username is Vinny Billups, VINNYBILLUPS. And my name is Don Hill, and my username is Don Hill, DONHILL. We'd like to thank you for attending the call today and hope that you took some great notes. We hope to have a recording made available for those that weren't able to make it to the call. And to remind you that we will be having an opportunity overview call this coming Wednesday evening at 10 p.m. Eastern on the same line with the same PIN number. So if you have any new people that you'd like to share My Networking Pro with and have interested, bring them to that call, and we'll get them well informed and ready to join your organization and hit the ground running. And with that, I'd like to thank you for attending and look forward to seeing you on the next call, and hope you have a wonderful afternoon, everyone. Bye-bye now.